that a couple of people do tip to be the best in the world. I know the likes of Arjuna Kenkapati, Leary as well, tip it to be one of the best seconds in the world. I think Lewis McGlade as well also tips it to be up there with the best in the world. Talking with the likes of Spa, Silverstone, the Nordschleife, things like that. Bathurst is one of those tracks that is in that conversation. So yeah, when you come through, through Skyline and over the crest, and then you dip down the mountain, yeah, it's pretty difficult, especially because you're going at such high speeds, only for you to be millimeters really away from the wall. There's not much margin for error whatsoever, similar to how it was in Zolder really, but there is actually more margin for overtaking around Bathurst. There is a couple of more opportune spots, down the back straight with the right-hand king down towards that final chicane. Good opportunity there if you are careful. But another thing is, it is a long lap. We have gone back to the 40-minute race format that we had pre-Zolder. Of course, last time at Zolder we had two 25-minute races, but before that at Watkins Glen we just had one 40-minute showdown to the end. So back to that 40-minute showdown, which honestly I do very much prefer, as opposed to the 1 hour and a half that we had back at Kyle Army. So yeah, it's we've tried and tested a variety, a multitude of different formats, and I think we have settled on the best one. I mean, the 225 minutes, it depends on the track really what format works best, because if you go to a circuit like, I don't know, Zolder and do an hour and a half race there, it's going to be pretty dull. But because we had two 25-minute sprints, there's more on the line, you had to get those moves done quickly. And well, we again with the race, we have stuck constant with the 15-minute qualifying session that has remained, as I say, constant throughout the entire season. 15 minutes on the clock then, and you've got however many laps you can fit in that 15 minutes time. We're on board at the moment with Matti Brignara, second place in the championship, only on countback. I believe Jamie Natal has won at least one or two more races than Matti Brignara, but either way, they are equal on points, and all that matters, doesn't matter who's won more races, all that matters is that you score more points come the checkered flag next time out at Suzuka. Into the final chicane then for Matti Brignara. It seems to have been a tidy lap, but again, it might look quick, it might be slow, and sometimes the laps that look slow are actually really quick because of the fact they've been really smooth. But Brignara has boasted successful in qualifying on numerous occasions. The car in front of him has actually kicked up a bit of dirt, and well, there we go. That is the benchmark set by Jamie Natal, 2:01.777. Matti Brignara 3/10 back, and so Smoggy literally 3/100ths of a second back on Matti Brignara. So very, very close between our top three. Here's Matt Acton, who doesn't turn any younger with how the weeks turn forward. So yeah, he remains the absolute same, Matt Acton. Some incredible photos actually. He followed me on Twitter earlier. I was like, oh nice, this is pretty nice. I've made it. I'm famous now. I'm joking, but yeah, scrolled through, took a quick glance at his photography. He's actually really, really good. So yeah, Matt Acton, shout out to him. He's definitely better with the camera than he is the steering wheel. Let's put it that way. There's a reason he's taking pictures of the cars as opposed to driving them. I mess. I just know Andrew Pike is going to be loving that one. But Matt Acton at the moment P7, so not doing a bad job whatsoever. 2 seconds off the pace benchmark set by Jamie Natal, but let's just remember it's Jamie Natal. He's very, very quick, and has proven to be the dominant force this season so far. So yeah, he's nothing bad to be a little bit off Natal. Oh, that's a big old drift there from Matt Acton. Actually, that's fair enough. He's definitely pushing the limits as they go through. Alex Skinner, Team Ricky Monsters, in the Porsche at the moment, coming through the left and then the right, and oh my word, that is perilously close to the walls there. In my experience of ACC, that Porsche does not like me at all, and honestly I don't like it. On GT Sport, I love the Porsche; it's great, but no, not on not on ACC, and it is very difficult to tame. So to go dipping down as the undulation changes, the weight shifts on the car very dramatically. To be in that Porsche, yeah, I personally wouldn't want to be in that situation at all. But Alex Skinner ain't doing too bad. He's got a handle on it at least. 8 minutes and 50 seconds left to go then in this qualifying session, and Natal sets the benchmark with Matti Brignara just in behind in P2. So Smoggy rounds off the top three with Jamie Southfield and Cholmondeley rounding off the top five. And here comes Guillaume Hamling, Andrew Pike, Matt Acton, Martinek and Davis rounding off your top 10. Only 16-car grid today, so not the prime optimal turnout in terms of grid size, but it should still be a fantastic race indeed. Alex Skinner now through the final corner gets himself up into 10th, demotes Davis down to P11. Here's Gardner Mav in his very big black and green BMW. Short run to the line off the final corner. He goes to P10, so it seems to be a close and tough fight for that 10th place spot, the final place on the 5th row of the grid. Only a couple of tenths really actually separate the drivers in contention for it. So Smokey in the Mercedes then, P4 at the moment, 3.5 tenths of Jamie Nuttall, and 3.5 tenths covers the front 2 rows. Incredibly close, and it's very close between 2nd, 3rd and 4th, you know, 3/100ths of a second covering them, but then Jamie Nuttall's got sort of a 3/10 buffer above all of them, which is mightily impressive, especially, actually no, I say especially, considering it's a 2-minute lap, which for GT standards is very long, which for any standards is actually quite long here at Bathurst. It's really close. There's a lot of opportunity to make that time up. 3 tenths around Bathurst isn't a lot. You think just being a little bit more committed, getting on the power a little bit earlier, braking a little bit later as you dip down through the mountain, you can make 3 tenths up pretty easily. As opposed to circuits like Monza or the Red Bull Ring, where it's not as easy to make that time up. Here at Bathurst, just be committed into a couple more corners. There's more corners and therefore more opportunity for that time to be gained. So yeah, it could be really, really close for pole position come the end of those 7 minutes, which we will soon come towards because qualifying does zip through quite quickly actually. Only 15 minutes, of course. So Smokey then pushing the limits on the exit the final corner, very easily to do. As he managed to improve upon his time? No is the answer to that question. Here's Samuel Chimondoli in P6. He's 2 tenths off the back of Southfield in P5. Who in turn is 6 tenths off the back of Sir Smokey. So it seems the top 4 are going to be in a breakaway fight, as they actually were, I think, for Zolder. It was sort of clear as he does move himself up into P5. Now only 8 tenths clear off Nuttall. So just flicking through those who are trying to improve upon their times. Jamie Shaw in the McLaren. His best time was his last time. He's gone for another lap off the back of it. P13, P10. Again, another driver fighting for P10 in this qualifying session. It's going to be very, very decisive, I'm sure, as Volodya is serving a qualifying bang. I did actually forget to note that. I've got a nice little list as well of things. Let me read through it. I'll go through it now, actually, while we've got a bit of a quiet time. Andrew Pike sent it in lovely. Race facts this week. Volodya serves a qualifying ban, and getting word from the official stewards report that it's for being an alpha noob. Their words, not mine. Yeah, that is what Volodya is serving his qualifying ban for. He is going to be starting at the back of the grid. Not entirely sure what Van Wingerden is doing, though, because he's yet to post a qualifying time. In fact, I don't think he's actually left the pit lane so far in this race. In this qualifying session. In fact, I say that, he's gone to P7. Speak of the devil, the Dutchman, Quinten Van Wingerden, in the Nissan GTR, up to P7, which is pole for the AM category. He's been sort of quite clear of the AMs. Don't know if we can, Pro-Am would probably be a more appropriate category for him to be in, because he is, quicker than the majority of the AMs, but sort of in the mid-pack for the pros, so actually maybe it might not be a bad idea to put him in the pros. He's very, very quick. Is to say the absolute least about this about the Dutchman. Chris Davis in the 750 Porsche. He is second last for the AMs and second last overall for those yet to post a time, but yeah, I don't think Werther is particularly too interested to be in contention. Too interested to be in contention at this point. 6 seconds off at the pole time of Nuttall. So he's either taking a nice slow lap or is just trying to warm up a little bit, going for a last first maybe. Not entirely sure, maybe. But yeah, Chris Davis is trying to improve upon that time. It is close, I will give him that, between pretty much from Jamie Shaw backwards. Actually, no, to be fair, from Martinek, P9 all the way down to P14, it's only a margin of about 6 tenths, so it's quite close for the sort of the tail end of the midfield. They are going to be fighting quite hard over it. 4 minutes left to go on the clock here in qualifying, and of course, ACC works a little bit different to other platforms. As long as you cross the line with 1 second to go, you get time to finish your lap. As long as you cross it before the checkered flag is out, you get that lap. It's not like Race Room or iRacing, where as soon as the time is 6-0, that's it, unlucky mate, you're out of this one. no, it's a bit nicer in that sense. ACC is will give you that margin. So we have got 3.5 minutes, maybe to the extent of 5 minutes if people take that long to finish the laps. Mattia Brignara then has been tipped by Guillaume Hamling. The gap between the two of them only 3/1000ths of a second, which to the naked eye is virtually identical. Can Brignara across the line make a statement and pip his championship rival to provisional pole? No, he can't, but he closes the gap. Half a tenth, 57,000ths of a second. Now between Jamie Nuttall and Mattia Brignara, the top two in the championship, matched in the championship, and now virtually matched in this penultimate qualifying session. It's going to be close. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race plays out, because it's the inaugural championship. Imagine going down as the first champion of the TSRC GT3 series. You know, it's all good winning a championship, but to win the first championship, everyone's going to remember that first championship. And in all honesty, no one really remembers second place. You look to how many second places you can name in championships. You know, Mick Schumacher won the F2 2020 championship. You know, not many people will remember that Callum Ilott managed to finish second. You know, you look back in history and you think, oh, yeah, that guy won the championship, but who finished second? Doesn't matter how close it was. It could be to the margin of a point, but you wouldn't know the name of the person who finished in second place. So it is always good to win the championship, just for the novelty and for the pride, the ego of taking that victory. Matt Acton, then, who I'm sure has done plenty of practice, and I've been informed he has done a lot of practice down the allotment, and, well, in that Aston Martin GT3, he's certainly on the pace of the GT4s. And, yeah, he's certainly up there, actually, for GT4, not doing too bad. It's because he's GT44. The number of his cars 44, so he's actually twice as quick as a GT4, and that's why he's P9 overall in the GT3s, and now makes that P7 actually. So, giving Matt Acton a bit of stick, he's not too bad. He's not too bad. Mattia Brignara again into the final chicane. He really does like to fuel up for some long runs. He's pushing the limits here. He's going for consecutive laps, or is he slowing down? I think he's slowing down. He is. Is he? You know, charging up for one quick dash, because that is it. He can't come into the pit lane. He's not got enough time to go around again, so he's got to charge up, getting himself a gap, backing off, cool the tyres down, save enough fuel, whatever it is, get yourself into that mindset, then punch it off this final corner. The final lap then for Mattia Brignara, half a tenth separates him and pole position with 1 minute left to go in this qualifying session here at Bathurst. In towards T1, you can just see how it dips on the inside. Use that camber to rotate the car, but make sure you get the perfect exit a little bit wide there for Brignara as he bounces his car over the bumps and through the grass, down this back straight, which in of itself is very, very bumpy, over the little crest as you dip back down towards T number 2. This long right-hander where you really have to commit on the brakes, chuck the car in, aim for the apex and hope it sticks, hug it tight, and then get on the power. Let the car run wide, bring it back to the right-hander. Blind apex, you've got to brake pretty much as soon as the car is straight, get it stopped, hook that inside apex, and then run the car out to the outside. Don't let the car understeer too much through here, pretty much flat out if you can get the line right and turn at the optimum moment. Pushing the limits there, mightily close, flirting with disaster as he now runs through the dips and the climbs as he gets towards the peak of the mountain, flicks the right once more as the car goes really light through that left-hander. Now towards the fun part, the dip through the mountain. You've got to aim the car in as straight as line as possible, brake while you're still trying to turn, cook the car on the inside there, flick right, flick left, and then through the right again. Now in towards probably one of the most important corners on the circuit, through the right, brake as soon as the car starts to dip down, hook that inside, get a nice late apex, get the car straight, get on the power, and get that run. Now down this back straight, the final sector of the circuit. Can Mattia Brignara pip Jamie Nuttall to pole position? They're both on circuit. Guillaume Hamling is in the pit lane. He will be third unless Cholmondeley can improve or Southfield can improve and pip him to that. But at the moment, he seems pretty secure. The clock has struck 0. The checker flag is out. These are the final laps. Is Nuttall going to improve upon his lap? Is Brignara going to sustain enough of a gap across the line? We will soon find out. One more corner left between Brignara and potentially pole position for what could be an incredibly crucial moment in this championship. Through the final corner, it seems pretty good using the track on the exit. Is it provisional pole? No, it wasn't an improvement to the margin of around about 1.5 tenths. That is the margin that you have to play with. Jamie Nuttall then will take pole position for round number 5 here at Bathurst. Is he going to improve just to show off? No, he's not. And he takes pole with a 2-minute 1:7.15. Just waiting for the last couple of stragglers of Southfield, Cholmondeley, and that is it. Cholmondeley and Southfield, we are the only two that we're waiting for. And Southfield is now coming through the right-hander. We'll go through the grid order then as they rack up as soon as these two cross the line. I don't think there's going to be any major changes unless Jack's out. I've been calling him Jamie, haven't I? His name's Jack. I am so sorry. The one day I don't have my live timing up and I get his name wrong. I am so sorry, Mr. Southfield. Cholmondeley, is he going to improve? He's got the chicane and then the last corner left to go, but it won't make any difference to the qualifying order unless he's got a difference of about a tenth and a half over to Sir Smokey to get himself onto the second row. Could be something there through the left then. Can he get it down off the exit? Is it going to be anything across the line? No. So we're going to run through your grid order then. Before we take a bit of a break and then go to the 40-minute race. Jamie Nuttall takes pole position then as he is our championship leader, matched with Matty Brignara, practically matched as well in this qualifying session, only half a tenth between the front row. Gam Hamming and Sir Smokey round up next to each other in 3 and 4 with Samuel Cholmondeley rounding off the top 5. Then comes Jack Southfield in P6 with Mav just in behind in P7. Matt Acton, an impressive 8th, rounds off the 4th row of the grid with Marcinek and Andrew Pike, your top 10. Van Vingeren P11 with Shaw in P12, then comes Chris Davis P13, Alex Skinner P14, Verta 15th, and Veloja, after serving a qualifying ban, P16, rounds off the tail end of the grid. Then a minute and 45 left before we take a full formation lap here at Bathurst. Get underway for a 40-minute race. Don't go anywhere. Five seconds then before we go green for the formation lap here at Bathurst. The clock strikes 0 and away we go. It will be Jamie Nuttall that leads us round before we get underway here at Bathurst. If you are watching along in the Twitch chat, do certainly give us a shout. You know, comment your predictions, what your thoughts and feelings are ahead of this race. It's lovely to see you all get involved over the course of the season. And your thoughts and feelings as well over the course of how this championship has gone as a whole. Who you think is going to win? Is getting a bit argy-bargy actually between is that Jack Southfield and Mav, I think, getting a bit close to home. Not entirely sure how well a Honda and a BMW are going to mix. It's going to be some Japanese-German hybrid thing. But yeah, we'll see. By the way, it's a long formation lap here, so a lot to fill, a lot to talk about. As I say, coming into this race, we'll in fact just dip through a couple of the important bits over the course of this season. So first place gets 30 championship points, second 24, third 20. They are really the main talking point because Nuttall and Brignara, you know, really, unless there's something drastic happen, they're going to finish inside the top 2 or 3. They're the points that matter. In terms of the standings, nothing. It's 0. The gap between the two of them is 0. Jamie Nuttall on 82, Matty Brignara on 82 as well. Jamie Nuttall has taken 2 victories, whereas Matty Brignara has only taken 2 as well. But also, Jamie Nuttall did them first, so I'm guessing that's as to why he's got him on countback. So it's first, third, eighth, second for Natal. It's no finish, second, first. So incredible consistency there from Brignara to get him into that fight, because after Kyle Army, that DNF, because he seemed certain to win. Brignara was on form to take the win at Kyle Army, but a disconnect just meant he couldn't finish the race. So that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. That's motor racing, but Natal's done well to hang on to it. Now the important thing is he's got 2 rounds left in a 6-race season to maximize his points. He can't make any mistakes, because any mistake now is going to be pivotal, and any mistake now is going to be music to the ears of Mattia Brignara, who's going to say, all right, sweet, I won the championship. I can win this championship because you've made that mistake. It's going to be mind games. It's going to be psychology between the pair of them. Those mental games, getting into the other person's head. Of course, it's not a toxic psychological game, because TSRC has a brilliant atmosphere amongst all the drivers. There's no toxicity. It's all friendly banter and all that. If you want to win a championship, you've got to mess with them a little bit. You've got to show your nose. You've got to be, if you're in a party chat with them or whatever. I know sometimes I will be in a party chat with some people I race with. I'll tease them. I'll go to the inside of it like, way, and sort of, have that, make them think, get them on their toes a little bit, force them into that mistake. And maybe that's what Mattia Brignara needs to do with Jamie Natal. Whether they're close mates or not, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure if I really care, to be honest, nor do many people at home. But if you want to win a championship, you got to be doing those things. You've got to think about it. Of course, the most important thing is to get out there and do well. Is to get out there and put the results in. Be consistent, be quick. Make those overtakes and don't make those mistakes. Even though sometimes it is out of your control, mistakes are usually sometimes out of your control. You're putting a lot of trust in the other 15 drivers on the circuit with you to not smack into you, to not crash into you. We haven't yet had a wet race this season, which I kind of want. Do we want the season finale to be a wet race? Of course, I won't be here. I think it will be Dan Peeps who takes you through that. But again, I'm not sure, because obviously with the shift backwards a week, is lined back up with my karting championship. So unfortunately, I can't do the final season finale, which is a shame. But again, that's how things happen sometimes. Through the final chicane, then, you can see Brignara wants to get going. He's putting some pressure on Natal just to be like, come on then, let's get it going. But Natal's like, no. I control the pace. I'm the effective sort of, timing delta. You've got to all match me. Jamie Natal is going to have the inside line for T1. Now, this could open the possible avenues for 2 ways for Brignara. He could either go around the outside or go for an under and over and under down towards T2. It's going to be interesting. Questions that will all be answered in 40 minutes time. Jamie Natal rounds the final corner then from pole position. His championship rival Mattia Brignara alongside to his right. We're waiting for the green flag to wave, and then they're going to punch it down towards the first corner for the first time here at Bathurst. Held for a while. Brignara with a wide back momentum. He's going to get on the throttle a lot earlier than Natal and have that run to the outside. Is he going to brake late? He's going to give it a go with the Audi. His nose there to the right hand side. He's pushed to the extent of the circuit by Natal, who holds firm. But now this run, this long straight towards T2. Hamling also trying to get into the mix. You can see Sir Smokey already to his right hand side and up into P3. Is Brignara close enough to launch the offensive down in towards T2? Hamling trying to make the amends of a poor start back to the inside for P3. Unfortunately unable to, so now has to hold station and try and remain in P number 4 if he can, actually, because Tremondley is trying to hammer some pressure onto him through the left-hander, the double left. As you then climb up the hill, is still Jamie Natal that leads from Mattia Brignara. Then comes Sir Smokey and Gemma Hamling in P4. P5 goes to Tremondley as they now run their way up the mountain. This first lap is vital because, as I say, it's pretty tricky to overtake here at Bathurst. It's not the easiest thing, as we just saw there, with how the little margin for error there is. Gemma Hamling and another driver there tapping the wall as they go through that left-hander and towards the next left-hander. Honestly, I usually am really good with one names, but not today. I've just completely had a blonde moment, and I do apologise. Here's Chris Davis. He's had an off on this opening lap. Going through said left-hander, again, it's very easy to do. The car goes so light, and you just have no control. You are a passenger. But he's managed to get it going. Hopefully no, crucial damage to that Porsche, and he can carry on to the, without much fail. But Mattia Brignara has done the job. He's remained close all throughout this lap. Now he's got the slipstream, hoping that his Audi has got enough down this straight to launch the attack into the chicane. It could be a vital moment in order to go for the race lead. Not quite close enough, but having a bit of a look, tucking back in behind to the right-hand side to take the racing line. Jamie Natal is certainly not building that gap that he would want to be comfortable. So Mattia Brignara, at least for now, is just applying the pressure. through the final corner to round off lap number 1 of what will be, I think, around about 19 or 20 laps here at Bathurst. Over the line then, Jamie Nuttall leads, sets the fastest lap, of course. Cholmondeley looking to the left-hand side on Hamling, not quite, but again, trying to have a bit of a look. Through T1, and it is all about that exit. If you can set up your exit and get the drive off the corner, you are going to be in a perfect opportunity to overtake down towards T2, because again, if you're on the inside here at Bathurst, chances are, 9 out of 10 times you're going to get the move done. Because the car on the outside, it's not worth the risk for them. Because, especially in sim racing and in real life racing, I know there's this new narrative of get to the corner first, it's mine. And then you can run the guy out on the outside. Usually, sometimes that isn't the case, but it can be a mentality that's adopted by many people. And you just can't trust it. You can't risk it on the outside. Yes, you'd like to because it's fun. But, again, going back to the margin of error, you get it slightly wrong, you outbrake yourself, and you're in the wall. You understeer a little bit off the exit, and you're in the wall. The guy on your inside tries to play that, I get to the corner first, it's mine, mentality. You're in the wall. If you're on the outside here at Bathurst, it's going to be very tricky for you to get a move done. So, yeah, if you can just get to the inside, it seems to be a fairly comfortable affair. Because it's your corner. The guy on the outside, if he's clever, is going to back out. But again, we'll have to see. I've not seen a significant amount of racing. Oh, a bit wide there from Van Wingden. That's going to invite Volodya through, the Estonian who started at the back of the grid now, working his way up to P13. And wants to pick him off while they're still nice and bunched up, because now is the perfect opportunity to do it. There's been no substantial field spread. Everyone's still nice and close together, so this is prime moment for Volodya to sort of get his way through the field if he can, if he's got the pace to, in that lovely Tiger Mercedes. I always go back to it. It's a nice car. It's a nice looking car. Matt Acton on the back of Martinek. Can he have a bit of a look in that Aston Martin? No, he can't. He's got his blood feud something of Andrew Pike, whatever they are to each other, whatever their relation. Enemies to lovers, maybe. If anyone's interested. Matt Acton, Andrew Pike, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, they're 9th and 10th at the moment on track, trying to get past Martinek, and yeah, Mr. Twister, that Tiger livery is awesome. I do love it. Through the left of T1, and Martinek getting a bit squabbled up a little bit. That's going to allow Matt Acton to get the better run. Is it going to be a good enough run down towards T2? You can see the BMW to the right-hand side going defensive already, so he's committed to that line. There's a bit of a space on the inside, but not enough for Matt Acton to fill, so he's going to go to the right, look for the space, then quickly dummy to the left. That got feisty. That got very, very close indeed. Matt Acton certainly pushing the limits. He looked for that space to the inside, quickly found out that it wasn't there, and then it was like, well, yeah, no, this is interesting. I'm going to go back to the right now. I'm going to go to the outside if you don't mind. Which, yeah, fair play. Don't blame him at all. Now the single file bit, this is where you can't overtake. Because if you do, chances are both of you, at least one of you, definitely is in the wall. Both of you have a high chance of getting into the wall. So it's just better to just play single file here. You look at endurance races around Bathurst and it just gets messy. So messy, especially at this point of the circuit, because it's so blind a lot of the time, blind crests. And you've got, 20, 30, sometimes 40, 50, even 50 cars in an endurance race, battling through the hills. Car spun, bang, pile up. It looks like the A47. It looks like UK petrol stations when it was a couple of months ago. It was the, oh no, we're running out of petrol. Those sort of traffic jams where everyone just slams on the brakes, and it's very dangerous. But we're not an endurance race, we're in a 40-minute sprint race, so hopefully we shouldn't see those pile up, but I'm just saying it can happen. Here's Cholmondeley on the back of Hamling, who started 3rd, is now 4th, and might actually be 5th, because Cholmondeley's going to force the gap open now to the outside of the chicane if he can brake late enough, which he can. So has to tuck back in single file 4 and 5 as they were. But in doing so, are losing a bit of time to the top 3. So it could be a breakaway, as I say, in qualifying. I thought it was going to be a top 4. It turns out it might actually be a top 3. Between Nuttall, Brignara and Smogy. The breadth of around about 1.3 seconds covers them. Now through T1 again for Cholmondeley. It's all about this run off the exit, as we always say. Exits are your best friend when it comes to sim racing. Because if you can get a good exit, you can be quick down the straights. And if you can quick down the straights, you can get a move done. Yes, it's good being quick through the corners, but you're not going to make an overtake mid-apex, are you? Volodya on the inside of Alex Skinner, up to P12 now. If he can make this move sealed into T2, well done. Lovely job indeed. That's another place ticked off, and slowly but surely working his way through back to the front. Jamie Nuttall has opened that gap to Matty Brignara to the extent of around about a second. So he's broken clear of 1 second, which is a good milestone to get, because usually that's where slipstream starts to fade. But mistakes like that could make a difference. If he taps the wall like that, damages his car, spins out, terminally damages his car, Matej Brignara gets a nice 30-point lead in the championship that he doesn't want with 1 round to go, because then Natal is in big trouble. So yeah, no mistakes for these two. Natal is at the moment in a really good position, both for the championship, this race, and mentally, because then he goes into that race with a margin. He, you know, of course he goes in with more to lose, but he's got everything to win. And it's then up to Brignara to do more. Brignara has to take more risks, whereas Natal's like, okay, sweet, I've got a 6-point lead in the championship. If I finish second or third, it's not too big of a deal. Brignara then has to do the hard work of going to win. So if you can get that gap before the final race, then you are in a really, really good opportunity to have that high ground into the final race. And that's, Brignara will know that as well. I'm sure he's got an extensive experience of sim racing and championships and things like that, because he's a very talented driver indeed. This is Cholmondeley looking to the left-hand side. Hamlin gives him the squeeze, but the BMW says no. He's going to force his way through to T1. Hamlin goes the long way around though, uses that outside momentum to get the drive off the corner as well. Here comes Jack Southfield in the Honda NSX, ducking and diving, looking to the right-hand side to find the space. Can't do it, but the BMW with the slipstream of Hamlin. The Honda NSX still, though, with the straight-line speed versus that BMW, pulls alongside to the left. The outside for T2. Can he swoop his way all the way the long way around? Yes, he can. Cholmondeley caught napping. He's going to come back to the inside. They're going to run 2 abreast as they approach now towards this next left-hander. Going to be very close, very tight, but surely Cholmondeley has to back out. No, he doesn't. He tries it on the outside, but as the track levels itself out on the outer wide edge, yeah, he lost a bit of grip there and had to back out, giving Hamlin a bit of a breathing space of the margin of probably a couple of car lengths, about maybe a second if he's lucky. But Cholmondeley now is going to be a bit angry. He's not going to like that. He's going to want to get back in front of Jack Southfield and then close the gap back up to Hamlin. It's been a massive hindrance in the Chum Chum Train 111 BMW. Oh my word, just look at how scary that is, especially when you're tucked up, sniffing the rear end of the car in front of you as you go through there, fully committed. Just imagine the car in front makes a mistake, gets a twitch. You have got no time to react. You know, good racing driver reactions are to sort of the extent of, oh, Hamlin actually going back. We'll go back to the point in just a second. Through that hairpin left-hander, made a massive mistake. He's dropped back behind Jack Southfield and Samuel Cholmondeley, and is only P6. But yeah, it's going back to that point of reaction times. A good driver's reaction times, you know, 2-3 tenths of a second. If you're tucked up right behind a car, you've got half a tenth, a tenth of a second to react, and that's superhuman. You have to guess it's coming. You have to be Spider-Man to guess that's coming. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult indeed. So just watch out when following cars very closely. This is Werther and Chris Davis, the Porsche, running side by side. Verlodge's lost a lot of time actually, down in P16. Not entirely sure as to what's that about. The Porsche though looking to the left-hand side, not quite committed enough on the brakes. That's allowed Verlodge to close the gap back up. But yeah, that Tiger liveried Mercedes, strange, very strange indeed. Not entirely sure what happened to him. Three-way fight for P14 though, not quite the position for the three-way fight we'd maybe hope for, but it's still a three-way fight nonetheless. Chris Davis now looking to the right-hand side again, once more beaten on the brakes by Werther, who swoops around the outside and is holding these guys up quite a bit in that very chonky Bentley Continental. Ooh, again, very, very squeamish on the brakes, all of them, because through that corner you really are braking and turning. Here's the AM Championship leader of Quinten van Wingerden having an absolute nightmare. Don't pull back onto the circuit there. That's what I mean. If he decided to pull back onto the circuit, that could have been a very nasty affair. Very, very nasty indeed. It's very, very sketchy. Not much in it at all. And if Van Vingden just decided, yeah, I'm going to reach on the circuit, bang, all three of them, bosh, out they go, off they pop. But yeah, nonetheless, we cut back to the fight for P1 as we approach halfway through this race. 27 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. 2 tenths separate our top two, make that 4. Natal just sort of stuck at a stalemate with his championship rival of Brignara. As it stands, it will be a margin of 7 points. I don't know if they get a point for fast lap, actually. Let me confer. Let me check. Let me get my facts right for you all. I don't have my second screen, so I'm not entirely sure. I do apologise. I should definitely be a bit more professional. An additional point will be awarded for the fastest lap of the race. There we go. There's our answer to the question. Pit window is open as well. Well, did forget about that. You get a 15-minute pit window in this race. Closes when we get to what will be 12 minutes left to go. So you do have to make a pit stop. Is only for fuel. Don't have to change tyres. Only for fuel. But when do you take it? Has Brignara got more pace in the bag? If he gets past Natal, has he got more pace to use? In that case, does he go for an undercut? Does he go for an overcut to use that pace in clean air to then get the gap made up relative on track to then overtake him after the pit stops filter themselves out? Or is Brignara relying on that slipstream to keep him in contention with Natal? So Natal comes in, breaks the slipstream, has some clear air to himself, and extends the gap. That is basically all fuel stop strategies are, is your pace relative to everyone else at a certain point in the race. And then using that to get ahead, to get an advantage over your rivals. Especially if you're in a pack. If you leave a pack, this 4-car train, they're going to be slowing themselves up a lot. They're going to be going, at least half a second slower than they would be in clear air. If, say, Andrew Pike, who's turning this train back in P9, if you wanted to jump all 3 of them, coming a lap later, coming a lap earlier, get away from them, get that clear air, and then when they all pit, you've gained that time back up, so you're just going to fly back through. And you're going to be at the front. That's 3 places gained, and you haven't had to make a single overtake. You haven't had to do any hard work other than drive on the circuit as you have been. So again, that's something that comes into the mind of drivers and when to come in. But again, the pit stops are a very scary thing because something as simple as just parking your car in the pit box is quite difficult. You think of the pressure that's going on, especially when you get towards sort of the top flights of sim racing. Here's Andrew Pike actually taking my advice and coming in. Same too with Chimondley, Van Vingeden and Guillaume Hamling all into the pit lane. But when you get to the top flights of sim racing, think of the pressure that's on these guys' shoulders. They don't think about, making their pit stops. They think about going around the circuit as quickly as possible. Then they come into the pit lane and they've got to hit their marks. Yes, it's a nice highlighted red box, but you overshoot it just a little bit and then you have to start the engine again. You have to then reverse. And then you can see what I mean. You just lose a lot of time. That is then really difficult to make back up. Here's Nico Verta, the Finn. Had a bit of an off the exit of that final chicane and rounding the final corner now. I'm not entirely sure as to why he didn't just bite the bullet and go into the pit lane after losing that time anyway, but to each their own. And now we'll have a look. Tom Marcinek, P12. Coming in with the other 2 BMWs around him, Chimondley and Andrew Pike. Chimondley leaves. He was away ahead, the pair of them anyway. Back off the jacks comes Marcinek. He then leaves the pit lane. Andrew Pike's still stationary. That's a long stop. That's a really long stop. Andrew Pike, what is going on there? Has he left? He's still stuck in the pit lane. Now he's moving. What is up with Andrew Pike? Why did he take so much fuel? Does he need it? Or has Marcinek made a mistake? Either one of these has got this really wrong, or one of these has got this really right. That's confusing. I'm baffled, really. Andrew Pike, man, I think you might have bottled it. But hey, we'll see. These are the top 2. Jamie Natal, the Honda NSX, and Matthew Brignard, the Audi R8. The Italian and the Brit going at it in German and Japanese cars. So, very diverse, very inclusive. And very international is this championship. An Italian driver, a British driver, a Japanese car, a German car, an Australian circuit. Oof, we've got them all. Ticked all the boxes here for this championship fight. Then we go to a Japanese circuit. So, Jamie Natal, his car's home race. Who knows? We haven't been to a German track, have we? Kyle Army. And then we went to... Actually, no, we went to the Nürburgring. Of course we did. They both had their advantages. think Mattia Brignara actually won the Nürburgring, so it's only fair that Jamie Natal wins in Suzuka. So if Brignara wins this race and Natal wins the Honda's home race, they're going to go tied on the championship, which I think would be won by Natal based on countback, because it will basically reset to how it is today. And yeah, it's imagine that the first championship of a series separated by whoever won the first race first, and oh, maybe not. It's not going to come down to that. Natal with a big crash. Oh my word, coming through the dipper down the mountain. He's had to take to the escape road. A big off for Natal, a big load of damage to the front end of that Honda NSX. An easy mistake to make. But what could this mean? What could this imply for the championship? Because he is completely bottled this race. He's now back behind Sir Smokey and is limping that car home. He's still got yet to make a pit stop. He's going to have to make some damage repairs. And this is 30 points. Well, 29 points in the swing of Mattia Brignara with one race left to go in this championship. 1.5 races left to go. We've still got 21 minutes left of this one. Not all is said and done yet. Mattia Brignara could still make the same mistake. And it could still go even to Suzuka. But yet still, mistakes like these. Mattia Brignara, since his disconnection in Kyalami, hasn't finished outside the top 2. Natal has had a 3rd and an 8th. And now could be even worse than that. Could tumble down outside the top 5 with his damage repairs. What could this mean? If he finishes, say he finishes, we'll give him the the benefit of the doubt. We'll say he finishes P5, right? 16 points. A 14-point swing in the championship for Brignara. Or 13 actually, I keep forgetting about Jamie Natal's fast lap, but still, that's huge to make up in one round. In a 6-round championship, you can't afford mistakes like these, and oh, Natal, that is, he's going to be kicking himself. And if he loses this championship because of this, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, I can tell you that much. Yeah, that car's going to have to be repaired just a little bit. Cholmondeley on the back of Jack Southfield in the Honda NSX. But it seems, again, like this is going to be a runaway then for Mattia Brignara, as it was race 2 at Zolder. So... Jamie Natal has been overtaken by Matt Acton. Soon to be Davis... Southfield and Cholmondeley, they actually going to run side by side on the run towards T1. Down this pit straight, the BMW on the outside. Oh, door-to-door bang in as they go through. Cholmondeley lost control just a little bit. Has to use the curb on the outside. And has to tuck in behind. What can Cholmondeley do? Because he's had to play second fiddle to Southfield for a while in this race. Oh, a bit wide from the Honda. That's going to invite the BMW back through. We've seen this before, side by side. Is the jump train going to get the measure before the corner? The answer to that question is yes. Through the left. It's a lovely move. Oh, he's a bit sideways. The Honda NSX had to back out of that one. Southfield was forced to concede there, no way through. No matter what he tried, there was no avenue to make that move back up into P7. These two going at it though, they've been down each other's throats pretty much this entire race, chasing after Guillaume Hamling, who I think is certainly out of the mix versus these two 2 laps down on Jamie Shaw in P14. So yeah, it's between Cholmondeley and Southfield for what I think is actually a net P4. It is. It's a net P4 because Acton, Davis and Verto are still yet to pit. Same to Brignara and Smokey, actually, to be fair to them. Mav and Acton both in, leaving it quite late. Only 6 minutes left on the pit window. Matt Acton only 7/10 back on Mav as well, so he could be someone to look out for. As a bit of a fight between the pair of them. Through the right-hander then as they approach the final chicane. It seems that Cholmondeley has got a bit of a gap. He's keeping Southfield a bit of an arm's length now and opening that gap up just a little bit. But again, we've seen complacency and lack of consistency, lack of concentration, whatever it was, just a slight mistake. We're all human, we all make them. But it can be that mistake that just proves to be detrimental to a driver. So Cholmondeley is not set in stone at all for P7, but Mattia Brignara is going to be laughing. He's going to be loving this race. But again, it's that complacency could be potential arrogance. I'm not calling Matty Brignara arrogant by any means or whatever. It just could be that natural arrogance of saying, Jamie Natal's spun, he's crashed, he's now P13. That then sort of, comes to bite Matty Brignara back in the backside again because he can make a similar mistake. And then they're back on square one. They're back on even terms again. At least for now, it's going to be Brignara taking P1 to P13. What's that? 22 points. 21 points then with the fastest lap. That's massive. That's huge. Natal is going into that final race. Clenching at short straws. Hoping for a miracle. And he's going to be fingers crossed for the rest of this race that Matty Brignara makes a mistake. Because if Brignara goes first, second, or no, it was first, second, first, isn't it? Let me take another look. Let me just take a second glance at it. He's gone, let me take a look at the standings, sorry. Yeah, he's gone second, first. And then if he makes it 2 wins on the bounce, oh my word. Yeah, Brignara is in for a shout. Oh, that's sideways. That is Porsche of Skinner going round. Andrew Pike nearly collected by that, but was able to avoid it. Alex Skinner, that is unfortunate. The Porsche on what I believe to be debut for the Team Rookie Monsters car. Team Rookie Monsters, of course, have raced in a variety of sim racing championships, not necessarily just on ACC, but also in the Virtual Endurance Championship as well. They have boasted quite a bit of success there over the endurance racing. So Alex Skinner jumping in to represent at the moment P10. But again, this race hasn't really gone, particularly in his favour. So he's going to try and make up for that maybe in the final round if he does continue. And of course into Season 2 of the TSRC GT3 if we do have another one here on PC. On Assetto Corsa Competizione, brought to you of course by JP Broadcasting, hosted by the SimGrid. And obviously thank you to anyone that does give us as much support as we can. Because it is only the first season, of course. Thank you to Needham Designs as well. You can see the logo there in the top middle of your screen. Thank you to everyone that brings some support to the TSRC, the Sim Racing Collective. And as you see there in the bottom left, if you do want to get involved, tsrc.club/discord to join. And then you can join what is a fantastic grid of talent and sim racing drivers alike. So yeah, certainly do get yourself involved. Only one round left of the season, round 6 next week at Suzuka on the 29th of September 2022. We'll start at 8 PM UK time, wherever that is around the world. 50-minute quali and then back into a 40-minute race to round off the first season. Looking forward to it for sure. I'll definitely take a moment to watch it back if I can. Whoever's covering that race, hopefully they treat you well. Hopefully I've kept the seat warm nice enough for them. Kept the commentary booth nice and tidy. I think I have anyway. I say that my room is I'm a 16-year-old boy, so take that as you will. But either way, Jack Southfield back onto the back of Samuel Chimondoli. Down to the final chicane, sorry. He went right, then left, then right again, and got it completely wrong. Over the grass, over the gravel, spins left, spins right, and he's a bit lost. Brings it back onto the circuit. That's his shout of P4 completely out the window. Chris Davis into the pit lane then. The final person to do so with 14 minutes left to go in this race. And where is he going to come out? There he is, still stationary. Shouldn't have a lot of fuel to take on. It's only, lasting for 13 minutes, but still, where is he? I think Chimondoli and Southfield both passed. I'm not entirely sure about Marcinek. Maybe going to come out in P7 potentially. That's the thing about ACC is that for a spectator, it's not the best. But racing is really good. And aesthetically, it's really nice as well. You can see how nice these are. There's Velogi going through this. That's P11. Chris Davis lost quite a bit of time then, it must be said. As you can see, the bottom right, that is the lifetime, and Jamie Natal just in behind him, and an uncharacteristic P12 finish today it will be. I say that actually, he finished P8 in the race when he was older. So, yeah, for as far as his season gone, taking 2 victories and a 3rd place. Minotaurs hasn't had the worst of seasons, but little bits of points left on the table that Brignara were able to snatch up, and that's now given him the, whatever it is, 21-point lead advantage into the final race next time out at Suzuka, which we are talking about quite a lot, but it is something to look forward to, something to talk about. 12.5 seconds is the margin then for Matti Brignara over Sosmogi in P2. Those two have broken away just a little bit. Here's Tom Marcinek on the back of Jack Southfield after his mistake. You can see using his indicator. He's not entirely sure as to where he's going. He's going to the right-hand side to try and defend the inside, but what that will do is give him the outside for the chicane. So he's going to want to stick left, trust his gut, and hope Marcinek isn't brave on the brakes. The BMW has to tuck in behind, but you can already see setting up the move to the right-hand side. Is he going to dummy to the left? No, he's not. He's going to hold firm and tuck back in, because Jack Southfield holds a nice defensive front, and there's not really much that Marcinek can do with that one. Through the final corner onto the back straight. 12 minutes left, around about 5.5, 6 laps left to go in this race. It will be, because Brignara crossed the line with well over 12 minutes left to go, so it should be 6 more laps left to go. Counting the minutes down then, and you can see Matt Acton chasing these drivers down with Mav and Pike as well, just in a couple of seconds back a piece as well. Through the right-hander, this long right-hander. Really does open up for you on the exit as well, actually, here at Bathurst. And onto this left. Very tricky corner. I say that every corner here at Bathurst is pretty much tricky. Even, you know, the simple ones, the 90 degrees left of the final corner and turn 1. It's still pretty tricky if you get them wrong. Of course, they have got extensive runoff areas, which can't be said about most of the corners on the circuit, if not all of them. And you've got a nice bit of tarmac on the outside of each if you outbrake yourself, so, you know, at least you're safe. All a bit wide there for Jack Southfield, yet another mistake, and that is going to be Marcinek licking his lips and saying, all right, I'm after you then. Dirty tyres, going to put him on the back foot, but not much that the BMW can really do as they negotiate down the hill through the twists and turns into this downhill braking zone. Really difficult because you're going with gravity, so you've got to brake a lot earlier. Marcinek gets it right though, gets the car bitten back, gets the power down, and now to the left-hand side. If he can keep it there, keep his foot the long way around of this kink, it will be the inside line for that final braking zone, or the second final braking zone of the circuit, but probably the more crucial one of the two. But that Honda NSX been mightily quick in a straight line, so Marcinek forced to back out and now allows the Honda to have the defensive line, holds firm to the middle, deja vu as it was on the last lap, and Marcinek has no way through, no way to break that line of Jack Southfield, who is, while making little mistakes here and there when it comes to defensive driving, is no means slouched by any stretch of the imagination. 10 minutes left on the clock then as we tick off yet another lap with 5 to go. Matti Brignara, the gap we're still waiting to see at the top. That is just how big it is. I'm going to guess 15 seconds. We're going to wait, still waiting, 11 seconds. All right, maybe not 15, that's a bit optimistic, but 11.5 seconds, still not bad by anyone's standards. 22, Marcinek on the back of Jack Southfield, P4 and P5. No other real battles on circuit at the moment. Now into the dipper. Oh my word, Van Vingerden. Wow. Yeah, Nissan do not like Bentley all that much because he just completely nosedived it into that signage. And Van Vingerden has had a race to forget. A really bad race for him. He is set to check the championship in the AMS. You would expect. But, yeah. A knock to his confidence here at Bathurst. It is a tricky circuit. You can't blame him for making mistakes. Anyone would. It's tricky as he pulls his way into the pit lane, which yeah, surely you've just got to park it at this point. Unless he scores points. If he finishes the race and scores points, then yeah, you wanna get to the end. But yeah, oof, it's tough. It's tough for Van Bingden. You do have to feel for him just a little bit. Is Veloggio actually onto the back of Jamie Natal, who I think has actually found his way through up inside the top 10. So this is the thing about Natal, right? Veloggio getting it. Ooh, how has he done that? Oh, he's had a spin. Oh my words, yeah. Oh, don't reverse back onto the track. Oh my word. Oh my goodness me. Now is he beached? Is he stuck? He's parked it back in the pit lane. It was a qualifying ban turned to a DNF for the Estonian. So, yeah, not great for him. I'm just not sure how he dropped that. But hey. But the thing about Natal, right? But the thing about Natal, apologies, I'm just going to drink my throat went completely dry. The thing about Natal is that despite the fact that he's had, his incident, he crashed, he's still fighting back. He's still trying to salvage as many points as possible to limit that gap going into the final race, because it was so easy for him to give up and completely demoralise himself and, lounge around in P13, P12. But no, he's fought back and he's P10 now onto the back of Alex Skinner for P9. Yes, that's going to be the maximum he can get. But even in these bad situations, he's trying to get the most out of it, which is good. It's what a champion would do. It's what a champion has to do. But maybe it's not. Maybe Matej Brignara will win this championship. He hasn't had to do something like that. Something that Jamie Natal has done. He's had a fairly comfortable ride towards the front because he hasn't made those mistakes. Just food for thought. Just food for thought. It's that discussion. But if Jamie Natal does win the championship, it'll be this drive that he remembers most vividly as the race that could have cost him, but also those crucial couple of points that were vital in securing that championship. So it's all up in the air. It's all provisional going into Suzuka. Anything can happen. But yeah, a lot to be decided and a lot of hindsight to look back on over the course of what would be 5 total races when we get to Suzuka, when we get to the checkered flag 6 race season for season 1. And there's Guillaume Hamling, started 3rd, now 12th, and well, now sideways as they go into Skyline. And you can see that blind crest. He's just sat waiting. There's our race leader, Matej Brignara. That would be devastating if he got hit by Sesmogi there. Oh, well, pull back in front of Sesmogi, who, by the way, has closed that gap up by around about 5 seconds. Of Sesmogi. Sesmogi's he's driven that car really well. Whether Matej Brignara, which, if you're 11.5 seconds in front, you've got time to just slow down. You do not need to take any risks, especially at a circuit like Bathurst. So that is natural that Sesmogi is closing that gap back up, but like, that margin is massive. We'll take a look what it is now at this next point, whether it's 7 or however many seconds it is. 7.2. So again, a bit more time closed in by Sesmogi. The fight we're focusing on though is between Andrew Pike and Mav for P7. The 2 BMWs, one black and purple, one black and green. Going through the left-hander. Or is that pink? Honestly, I'll be completely honest, I'm useless. I wrote in green for my GCSE exams. I'm not colourblind, I'm just stupid. To put it bluntly. I don't know if that's pink or purple. I think it's purple. It's a nice colour actually. It goes well with the black, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't do too bad, but I still went in green. So yeah. Just if I ever talk about liveries and I get the colour wrong, don't judge me, please. I ask you nicely. Look into that gap at the front though, 7 seconds, 7 dead now, Sesmogi. So he's definitely a little bit quicker than Matej Brignara, but over the course of this race, Matej Brignara has gained those 7 seconds elsewhere. And of course, naturally, he's not driving as quickly as he could. If Sesmogi did suddenly put some pressure on, I'm sure Brignara would pull something else out of the bag. Now, onto the penultimate lap of this race, second last lap, 6.7 now is the gap at the front. It's coming down, but I don't think it's coming down quick enough for any real contention, unless Brignara wins it. And then Sesmogi wins, way, lovely. There he is, the German, in a German car, the Mercedes, coming through. The left-hander, then over the crest. Again, as I say, such a tricky corner because the car practically jumps as you turn through, and not a lot of the tyre is actually in contact with the road. And as soon as it's not in contact with the road, you're not in control. So you turn, the tyres aren't touching the ground to turn anything. They're just turning air. And then, yeah, you're just going straight. As soon as you land, you've got way too much speed, and then bang. So, yeah. It's very scary. You've got to get the car slowed down before the crest of the corner, in a sense. But again, that's slightly slower around through. So it's that risk versus reward. How much risk do you want to take? But either way, Mattia Brugnara will soon start his final lap of this race. Or will he? Will it be another lap? It's going to be close, I think. 30 seconds. Are we going to get another lap in? Is he going to sneak it in? We'll have a look. There he is. Our race leader, our newfound championship leader as well. I think he's going to sneak in another lap. Has he got the gap to slow down? I think that's what he's been doing. He's been slowing down to limit the gap. But with 2 minutes 13 left on the clock, we've got 2 laps left to go then here at Bathurst. 2 more laps for Brugnara to secure a very, very cushy championship lead. The margin of between 1st and 9th +1 with the championship extra point. We have, what is it, 30 to 12, so a margin of 18, so 17 points for Jamie Natal between himself and Mattia Brugnara. Here is Andrew Pike still on the back of Mav. So the two BMWs still going at it with what will be 2 laps left to go. All the pair of them in the non-sport youth development car. Definitely think that's got some non-PG-13 connotations to it, but we'll leave Andrew Pike to his own devices. I think it's probably best not to ask questions. Then you're not liable for anything. If you don't ask and you don't know anything, then you're not liable. That's how I look at things anyway. Andrew Pike on the back then, still of Mav. As we say, he's running out of opportunities to get it done though, is the thing. Is that as each lap ticks down, it's 1 less lap to get that job done. They are actually closing in on Matt Acton, who's lost a bit of time between Martinek and Southfield. But I don't think that, again, they're closing quick enough. The gap's closing, just not enough. It's too little, too late for any hopes. But Mav's still running wide. You can see that Andrew Pike is quicker. He's looked cleaner, tidier, more consistent, more precise with his movement. But because Mav is in front, he's in the way. And there's no way through for Pike unless he really sets it up nicely. 30 seconds on the clock then. Brugnara and Smoggy, 5.5 seconds separate the pair of them. Are they going to get 20 laps in this race? Or 19, sorry. Are they going to get 19 laps in this race? It's going to be interesting. Sideways off the exit there of the left-hander from Mav. Into the dipper, I think. Through the left-hander late apex. 10 seconds on the clock. Oh, Andrew Pike tapping the barrier to his right-hand side. 5, 4, I think Brugnara has already started the final lap, so the checker flag will be waved, but anyone now can continue and get on to that final lap. Mattia Brugnara then, 5 seconds leads Sir Smoggy in a turning point race in his championship. They come into this round matched, and they're going to leave 17 points apart because of Natal. It should be, really, in theory, 7 points the way of Natal, because 30 versus 24. It was unlikely that Brugnara was going to win this race if Natal didn't have his off, but Brugnara, no discredit to him. He's been just as quick, even more consistent. And on a day for Natal to decide his fate, his own fate, he didn't do the job. And it's only P9. It's only going to be P9 because that's the maximum he can get unless someone disconnects, which I think is incredibly unlikely. So yeah, I mean, fair play to him. He's fought back, as I say, back to P9 with a fastest lap as well. So he's getting as many points in the bag as he can. But yeah, a lot of pressure on his shoulders going into Suzuka. Maybe I jinxed it, but I don't believe in the commentator's curse. Only bad driving, as Lewis McGlade would say. And his favourite track, of course, is Bathurst, so it does fit. Oh, Mav going wide. That's opened the door for Pike. This is a dangerous section of track to run side by side through. So I think Andrew Pike just going for the safe avenue and backing out and thinking better of it, but eyeing it up, and with only what was about half a lap left to go in this race for them, not a lot at all. We'll have to soon cut our attention back to Mattia Brugnara, who will soon cross the line to take the checkered flag. 4.1 seconds clear of Sir Smokey. There he is, exiting the final chicane for the final time. The dip now down towards the final corner. It's going to be a 17-point gap in the championship as he crossed the line. He started second. It's yet a third victory for Matthew Brignara in the TSRC GT3 series. Round number 5 here at Bathurst goes the way of the Italian. Sasmogi comes home P2 with Samuel Cholmondeley will come home a few seconds later there in P3 to round off the podium. What a race it was for Brignara. What a drive actually for Sasmogi to close the gap. Just too little too late, unfortunately for him. And here's Cholmondeley to finish P3. Jack Southfield, a quiet race for the Brit to come on P4, making the most of other people's mistakes, making little to none of his own. And it'll be a pretty respectful P4. Here's the move for Andrew Pike, though, off the exit of the chicane. He's been waiting for this one for a while. To the inside of the final corner. How hard is Mav going to fight this? He breaks late, gets the nose ahead. It's going to be a drag race to the line between the pair of them. The Bentley might get in the way. Who's going to get it? I think it's going to be Mav. Yes, it is. By the margin of 28 thousandths of a second. They were neck and neck across the line, but yeah, Mav just had the measure. Maybe Pike had to back off a little bit because that Bentley, again, I don't know. But Natal across the line, P9. P9. He's got to take this week to reflect, practice, get Suzuka ready, clear his mind, have no pressure on his shoulders because he's got loads of pressure. He needs to just breathe, go into Suzuka, and try and have the best race possible. He has to win. Realistically, he has to win to have any shout. Alex Skinner for Team Ricky Monsters P10, Chris Davis P11, Gam Hamling P11, Volodja and Van Wingenden both will have not finished this race. So I'm not sure if they're going to get points or if they'll just be unclassified or whatever. Yeah, just waiting for the last couple of people to round off. I think there they are. And then we'll go to the results of this race. And then round up. That's going to be it. Our action done and dusted. There they are to the left of your screen. We're going to take a look at the timetables, run you through how they racked up after 40 minutes of racing. Matthew Brignara then, as I say, takes victory here in the Audi. 3.7 seconds clear of Sasmogi in P2 with Samuel Cholmondeley rounding off the podium. Then comes Jack Southfield in P4 with Mashanek rounding off the top 5. Matt Acton, a respectful 6th place with Mav and Pike side by side on the line, 7th and 8th. Jamie Natal and Alex Skinner round off the top 10. The fast lap, of course, going the way of the man now 2nd place in the championship of Jamie Natal. Chris Davis P11 with Nico Verta P12, Gem Hamling P13, Volodja, Van Wingden and Jamie Shaw all did not finish this race. And unfortunately, that's the end of the action for today. The penultimate round of the TSRC GT3 European ACC PC League. What has been a really good lead up to the final race in a week's time. I won't be around to talk you through it. It'll be whoever is stepping. I think it's going to be Dan. Ewan, unfortunately, is not available, the person that took you through round number 2 at the Nürburgring, but it'll be someone. It'll be a great race, I'm sure, and fingers crossed, whoever you're rooting for the championship takes it. Of course, someone's got to lose. Only one can take the crown. A lot to hype up for, a lot to look forward to, but in the meantime, my name has been Zach Sweeney. This has been the TSRC GT3 EU Racing Championship, and what a race it was, what a season it's been so far. It's going to be goodbye from me, but yeah, as I say, we'll look forward to watching through the live action next time out, same time as today, of course, for what will be a spectacular finale around Suzuka. Until then, guys, certainly do take care, and we'll see you back on track soon. Bye bye.